something and all of that. So I'll be sharing my screen now. Please, for those of you that can follow along, please follow along. So I will try to explain as much as possible because today's class we are not going to be having a slide because I did not prepare a slide because it was going to be like fully a coding session until I had to like think and come up with this idea of doing a pre-coding session, like a little coding session to see how far we are going to go. Where's this layout something? Yeah. So I don't even need this because I will know. All right, so that's that about that. So for those of you that have what is it called, that is with your PC or that join the call with your PC, or you can simply join with your phone so that you can use your PC to code along with me. So first off, this is the app we are going to be building throughout this session. So not this session, throughout from now henceforth. So we are going to be building a food delivery app. It's called Quick Store. So your this is like the interface. I'll be sharing the link to you to this what's it called, to this design later, but I might not share the link to the Figma board because this space is owned by a friend of mine who is a designer. So maybe I will share you a link to his page so you can go and check out this particular design. But all of these assets will be exported and given to you, like a link will be given to you to have access to all of these assets, like this image, the logo and all of that. So that's that about what we'll be building going forward. But for today, what we are going to be doing is the demo app, the normal Flutter demo app, but then we are going to be adding a splash screen to it. um are we all clear on that? Am I moving too fast or too slow? If I'm moving too fast, the reasons being that my battery is moving fast as well. So don't worry, I'll always post the recorded session on YouTube for you guys to like watch and rewatch. So by the end of this class, you should get the result of your previous assessments before the end of today, or maybe by tomorrow morning, because a lot of people submitted. So the other assessment is what we are doing today. So you are expected to have built what we are going to build today. Do you get? So that's just what we are going to be doing. Sorry about that. The notification from my device. Yep. So let's go. For those of you that are following along with your PC, go to your Android Studio. And this one now is going to take my battery like twice as fast, 32%. Ah, God. All right, go to your Android Studio. Create a new project. This is not what I want you to do. So let's close this
I'm
project.
sorry, are you recording already?
Yeah, I am.
Alright.
All right, so let's close this guy here. Close projects. Please bear with me. This is this is an edge case that I did not prepare for because I never expected. There's always like 24 hours. Like this one that happened today, even me shocked me. So create a new Flutter project for those of us that know how to. And if you don't know how to, I think there's a link on this on in the group to a video on how you can create a new Flutter project. But this is basically how to do it. So you come to your Android Studio, then click on Flutter. Don't forget to click on Flutter because if not, you might create. By default, it's set to. I think it is set to compose or whatnot. So you come and click Flutter, then you set your Flutter SDK part. Then next, then you name your project. So what am I going to name this? So let me just name this GDSC SSA one. So this is our first Flutter project. So let's create. What's it saying? Invalid uh modulo. Okay, I think it does not accept a valid data. That's package name. Okay. I think it's not accepting maybe the one or like the underscore because you have to. Yeah, it's not accepting the underscore. So let me just do GDSCSSA one. Okay, it's accepting the underscore. There was a space in it. So let me just put the underscore back. There was a space in it somewhere to be sure. There's no space. Okay, so create. So this is going to create our first Flutter project. So this is going to create what is it called? It's going to create the default Flutter app for us. So I'm just going to basically explain everything we see here so that we can get familiar with it. So first off, this all we are going to be mostly concerned about is the lib folder, because that's where we are going to be creating all of our new files and new files going forward and all. So this is the main.dat. So this is the main .dat file where the first codes are written, and this is where like your app is run. We already know this main method. Now this main method is the entry point for the for that what's it called, that compiler. So in Flutter, I explained to us last week that there are two major widgets, so which are the stateless widget and the stateful widget. So the stateless widgets are widgets that are non-mutable in the sense that they are widgets that cannot be changed, while the stateful widget are widgets that are mutable. Their state can be changed and so on and so forth. So this is a stateless widgets my app. This is another stateless widgets homepage. So let me run while I explain. Let me run my emulate simulator so that you can see what is happening. Then I explain along the line. I hope this is not going to expose my data. Okay, let's do like this. Please, guys, bear with me because I never saw this coming. What's it called? 28%. So my simulator is starting up. For those of us that use Android, you can go ahead and, if your PC is strong enough, you can go ahead and debug on your Android emulator. So I'm just going to use my iOS simulator, and it might take a while, maybe depends. So the default app is a counter app, and the other day while when Kausar was explaining comments to us, these are examples of comments. These are comments. So these comments are there to leave messages or explain things, to leave messages to people, or make the code readable. You get. So this is basically saying this calls the set states. It's telling us what this what's it called, what this method is doing, what this function is doing. So all of these are comments. This void increment counter is an example of a non-return type function that Mubarak explained the other day. So for those of you that don't that have that are yet to see the video on non-return type functions, there's a link on the announcement channel for you to see all of the past videos, so that you can go and watch them to clearly understand what functions are and all of that. So this is, let me just select. I think it's still okay. It's still building for Xcode. So this default app is a counter app that increments the counter the amount of times you click on the button. So what handles the increments is this function here. Where is the function? I think I missed. Okay, is this function here, this increment function here. So you, like Mubarak was explaining the other day, when you do for when you write your loop, you use the for loop, then you're going to like initialize your variable, then you do your condition, then you do your action, which is increment or decrement. So this is an example of an increment. So the default app In the default app, a variable is declared, which is the counter. Is named for counter. Is an integer type of counter. The reason why you're not seeing a question mark here, normally we're talking about nullability, and you're going to be seeing a question mark here, which is saying that at any point in time this is going to be null. But the reason why you're not seeing a counter here is because while this was declared, it was given a value of what? 0. So if I should remove the 0 now, and you see that this returns an error, so it's going to be saying the error is going to be reading non-nullable instance field must be initialized. So if you're saying that this field is non-nullable, so it must be initialized, it must have a value at any point in its time. So let me change it to 12. You'll see that this guy here is going to change to 12 if I um hot reload. So this is called hot reload. It reloads the application in real time, performing hot reload. So because my PC is low, is running slower. So when it reloads, this 0 here is going to change to, it's going to be changed to 12. So now this other widget here is the home page. This particular page you are seeing, this is it here. It is in a stateless, it is in a stateful widget. And a stateful widgets are widgets that are mutable and their state can change. So in order to change a state of, or to update the state of an app or the screen, a particular screen, you have to call the set state method. So the set state method updates the state of that app by rebuilding everything you see on the screen. So it rebuilds everything you see. So because my PC is low, this thing is running really slow. You can see it's still performing the hot reload. So now after when you try to increment the counter, you write the increment method. And what does the increment method does? What does the increment method do? It does what? It increments this variable by 1. Do you get? So increments, it does counter plus plus, that means counter plus 1. So this is just a function here that increments whatever is here. So now how do you make this button when you press it, this thing should increment? So you have to set an on tab or on click to this button. That you now give the functions of the on click. You give it this particular function. So you say on click, you do this. So on click, we do what? We do counter plus 1 because we are printing out the value of counter. So let me just show you where that was done. So this is a floating action button. So the floating action button receives an onPress function. So this onPress function, now you can see that the increment function was passed to it. Did you get? So when you press this button, it does what? It increments the value of this by 1. And this guy is taking forever. It should have loaded by now. So let me just hot restart the whole thing. It's probably because my PC is low. So you see now that the new value is 12. So if we do this, it increments the counter by 1. So one of the very first thing we are going to be doing is to decrement. We'll try to decrement the counter by 1 as well. So to decrement the counter now, that brings a new challenge, which is we have to add the decrement button, then do the decrement function. So first of all, I'm going to delete all of these comments because it's going to make the whole code verbalize. It's going to make the whole thing too much. I don't need all of these guys. So first things first is adding the button, adding the other button that handles the decrement for us. So what I would suggest is I'll add it. Maybe let me just add it by the side. Should I add it by the left or should I add it at the top? Let me see the first answer on the call. Where should I add it? At the top or by the left? Kausara, what's the first answer?
At the back.
At the back, it's the back. Where's the back? You can either add it at the top or at the left side of.
Just at the left side.
All
I
right,
was
so let's
just
do that at the
joking.
left side. So the other day, I think I explained a little bit about columns. So columns are used. Column is a widget that allows you to align or arrange your children in a column basically. So in a column is arranging your children from top to bottom. So this right here is an example of a column because let me just show us. So this is a column here. So inside this column now we have our first text widget, which is you have push this button, which is this one you are seeing here. So the column accepts a list of widgets as its children. So a list, you know what lists are now. So you now add the second child, which is what um the main counter, the value of the counter, which is up there, the variable that was declared here. Do you get? So now, in order for us to be able to make this guy have another guy here, we are going to be using, we cannot use a column because a column will only add another child at the top or at the bottom. So we are going to be using a row. So a row widget allows us to arrange our children, or it arranges its children widgets in a row. So you can either add something to it by the right or by the left. So at this floating action button place, we'll just have to there's something we call wrap. So not to do this the manual way, you can just check. You come to your floating action button, you just hover upon it, you should see this light bulb something. So you come down and you just scroll search, you will see wrap with row. So you can just wrap it with a row, so it automatically helps you wrap the whole thing in a row. So now we will just, instead of us creating all of these things from scratch, honestly as a developer you do a lot of copy and paste. So instead of creating these things from scratch, I will not like, because I am trying to run fast as well. So I will just like Control C, copy this button, and Control V, paste it here. So I will save. We should see a new button. So we are seeing a new button, and the reason why this thing moved here is because by default it aligns its children from the start. You know this is a row, so it aligns its children from this, like from the very beginning of the row. So this is the beginning of the row, and now we are having an issue here. So should we put these two buttons at the center, or should we put them side to side? Like minus should be here, plus should be here. What do you think, guys?
Just put it anyway because there's no time.
All right, all right, all right. So what I'm going to do is, in order to be able to arrange the way your children's are aligned, there's when you come over to the row, there's this function called cross-axis alignment. So cross-axis alignment allows you to um what's it called, align the children, choose the way you want the alignment to be, like the cross axis alignment to be. So this is the cross axis alignment. Then this is the other one, what's it called, main axis alignment, cross axis alignment. So let me just do it so you see. For column is having the same thing, but then the way it works is different. Main axis alignment, so main axis alignment is almost the same thing, but then for the main axis alignment, what it does is it changes the way it is aligned. So the main axis alignment, the main axis of a row is what is this this is called vertical, right? This is the vertical, is the vertical whatever, I don't know the name for this. So it's the vertical sign. So you can just do main axis alignment dot um center. So this now would align the children in the center. Do you see? So it will move the children to the center. So you see this thing is updating in real time. This is called hot reload. I just did main axis alignment dot center, then it updated it. Where all of this came from, it's provided in the row. This is a function in the row. So when you come to your row, you can just hover upon it to see all of the actions you can do. So when I hover upon the row, you can see I can do main axis alignment, I can do main axis alignments, I can do so many things. I can do text direction, vertical direction, text baseline, and all of that. So now we still have another issue, being that they are too close to each other. So there's another widget that helps us provide spacing between widgets. So it's called a sized box. So a sized box basically is just a sized box. Did you get? It provides space for you. Let me increase the brightness of my keyboard so that I can see. So a size box So this is one of the sweet things with using Android Studio and even VS Code. It auto completes most of these things for you. So a size box now, if a size box, you can also hover upon it to see the list of things you can do. So it accepts a parameter of what width or height or child. So you can choose to give it height. That is, if you want to give it spacing, there's like you have a widget above and you want to give it spacing. So you can just do height. But then we are having widgets in the vertical axis, right? So we are going to be using width instead of size, instead of height. So we just do width. So we let's just give it 20 and see. So Control S, Command S will save. So we see that we've given this thing a little padding. Do you get? But now what the two button this guy should go and rest. So the two button are incrementing the counter. So let's do the decrement method now. So for the decrements, we already have a function that helps us with increment. So we can just copy that and then change the whole thing, but then I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be writing it so that you can see and maybe understand instead of copying it. So just like Mubarak taught us the other day how to create what's it called, uh, a non-return type function. You have to name it what void. So name it void. So the reason why I'm putting an underscore is it makes this function private. That means outside of this file we cannot use this function. Do you get? So this function is only accessible in this file and this class in particular, which is the home page class. This is more, you just is more on object oriented program. So decrement, if I can spell, so decrements counter, if I can spell, yeah, decrement counter. So we do this. So this increments the counter, right? So to decrement the counter, we'll just basically do what? Counter minus minus. Simple. Or we can do like this. We can say the current value of counter, then minus what? 1. But then this is also not efficient. But then we can see, to make this very, very efficient, we can say counter is equals to this particular guy here, which is current value of counter minus 1. Anyhow you do it, it is going to work. Either you say counter minus minus or current value of counter minus 1. We all know what the counter is. Counter is this the in this integer variable that was initially initialized here. I changed this thing to 12 before, so let me change it back to 0. Yep, so let's decrement our counter, but this is more efficient than using this, so I am going to comment this out. And then like I say, our what was it called, our floating action button accept an onPress function. So an onPress is accept a function that's like, okay, when you press this button, what's the action you want it to do when the button is pressed. So you want it to decrement the counter. So now one of these buttons is going to be decrementing the counter, either this one or this one. So let's find out. This one is incrementing and this one should be the decrement. Okay, I think I have not saved it. Let me just save this guy. So all right, I think the reason why this is happening is because if I have, you see, I've done this minus minus a couple of times now, but if I should hot reload, you see that it's minus, it takes out the value of times I've pressed it. The reason being that I did not set the states. So if you look at this function properly, you see that there's another function within it, which is set state. So this set state now is a function that helps you update the state of your app. So this is where the stateful widget comes in place. So if I want to update the state of my app whenever this button is pressed, so I have to wrap this function, this thing in a set state function, which is set states. Then bring it down now. Set state. Am I using a capital letter S? Oh, I'm using to S there. Set state. So you bring this guy now because this is what this is the guy we want to update. We want this guy to be updated whenever we press the decrement counter button. So we just copy this guy here and see. So whenever this decrement is pressed, please help us set the previous state and update it to the current state. But then do this, then update the current state of this our widget. So we can just control S now. We would, you see, this is going to be decrementing the counter. So what's the other thing we have to do here now? So these things are both plus plus, so we can change this sign. To change this sign, we'll have to access the icon. So an icon now is basically an icon widget is basically a widget that helps you, that gives you access to icons. So this is to access the icon widget. Instead of me modifying it, let me just write it from start. So you can just say icon, then write your this, then you have to give it an icon, not a particular icon you want. Do you get? So that icon is going to be, sorry, it's supposed to be a comma, it's going to be icons dot. So this dot now shows you the list of icons that are available. What you are needing is subtraction. Cool. Is it? I don't know the name of this icon, so I'll have to search for it. Is it subtract? Is there not? No. So let's do minus. Yep. So this is it here. So icons dot minus to give us. It's not minus. So it's something else. Uh, icons dot minus, no, not minus one. I can't find the view. I don't know the name of that particular icon, but let's use the minus one. The minus one. So long as we know what we are doing. I can't.
Try dash.
Okay, dash, right? Dash. Yeah. It's not dash. So there are a list of icons that you can access. It's just that you have to know the name of whatever icon it is you want to use. So this one is not really a problem, so long as you know the name. Let me try remove. So yes, it is remove. Icons dot remove. So icon dot remove should give us what we want. So you see right here. So we have plus and we have minus. We have addition and we have subtraction. And that is that about that. So I hope we are able to now create our own decrement function and increment function. Then we can create our own floating action button that takes in a function of decrement. Then we can change this to decrement as well. This is just the name of, when you long press on this, it's going to give you on here, so it's going to tell you what that button is doing. I have changed this thing, but then I am yet to save. That's why you're still seeing increment. So if I save, oh, not saving that screen, if I save here, so you should, this thing now should change to what? Decrement. So when you control S or command S on Android Studio, it updates the app. It automatically runs the hot reload for you. Alright, so going forward, one other thing I would want us to do is, so let's add a splash screen to this. So to add a splash screen, we can just create our own new Flutter project, our own new dat file. So you come to this lib file, you right click on your Windows, then on Mac you know how to do your right click now. So we create a new dat file, we call it what? The splash screen. I pray my battery allows me. Splash screen dat. Whenever you're creating a new dat file, you always have to append it with the .dat for it to be a dat file. Yep. But you can automatically create a dat file in Android Studio. Just do what I did. You create an automatically creates it as a dat file. But then don't forget to put your tax so that you don't have issues. So this is a blank page now. Here I'll be doing everything we did from scratch. So this is going to be, so to be able to use the material widget, to be able to have access to buttons and all of this, you have to first of all import um packages, then you, oh, my PC don't awful. Guys, I think this,
This network is normal. Okay, that's a good one. Oh, oh.